Hey guys, it's Elena. So today I wanted to do an acrylic pour piece digitally in Procreate, and I wanted to just take you along with me as I don't have anything planned in advance other than the brushes and the colors. So I just wanted to take you through the process of creating something intuitively without really having a plan in place. So what you're seeing on the screen, I can't actually see now that I'm talking about it because I have not made it yet. So hopefully it turns out all right, but I just wanted to take you along for the journey and show you how I process things. So let's go ahead and get started. So for this piece, I am going to be using my acrylic pour brushes for Procreate, which is something that I sell, and that you can see the link for that on the screen and in the description if you're interested in that. And so let's go ahead and get started. Let's make a canvas, and I was thinking about doing a bigger canvas today. And the reason that I like to do a lot of larger canvases is because if you want to go and print something, if you really like how it turns out, but you've made it on a really small canvas, then you can't really print it out or use it if you have a print on demand shop or something like that. So you really need to start with a bigger size. So that's why I kind of do that by default, just in case something good happens and I want to keep that for future use. It's much easier to size down than it is to size up. It's basically impossible to size up without a lot of pixelation. So that is why I do large canvases. But I was thinking I will just do 20 by 16, and I'll just, whenever I start a canvas up here, these are ones that I've done before and I haven't even bothered to name them really. But if you don't know how to start a canvas, you can start a new one by going to this button up here, and then you can put in your pixels or your inches, etc. So I'm just going to cancel that since I already made my canvas over here. So I think I will do this one on a white background because that's just what I'm feeling today, and I'm thinking that I want to do some pastel colors. So over here on my color palettes, I'm going to choose, wow, I have a lot of color palettes. Most of them are ones that I've made with my brush sets. Okay, I wanted to choose Fluid Art Pastels, which is also something that comes with the brush set. And I will go ahead and put this up in my free resource library for anyone who's following along who does not have the brush set. So just selecting one of the colors on there, you can see this blue check mark, and that means that going to the disk, this is now our default color palette. So these are the colors I wanted to work with. I'm feeling particularly drawn to these blues today for some reason, blue and pink. So the brushes that I'll be working with is my acrylic pour brushes. And to start out with, I just wanted to put some color on the paper. So I'm just going to start with my basic paint starter, and you can use any brush for this part. And I'm just going to add some colors to the middle, and then I'm going to swipe around on them. So I'm going to focus on blue since I was really feeling that blue, and just kind of add some blobs here and there. And choosing a couple different shades. And basically the same that. I'm going to just undo that and choose a different shade that's slightly different. There we go. I'm going to go over to some purples. Maybe we need some purple up here. So where I'm placing colors kind of depends on what I think looks good next to, what colors I think look good next to each other, because they will be blending in with each other. So I do think that blue and purple blend really nicely with each other, so that's why I'm putting those next to each other. Now I've basically covered up that nice dark blue, so I'm adding a bit more up here. And I'd like some nice bright pink in here as well. So I'm kind of, as I'm doing this, I'm kind of imagining myself just pouring colors onto the screen with acrylic paint. And I would really like to use these greens, but I don't want to put the green right next to the pink because I'm not really sure how that's going to look. whenever we end up having some blending going on. It might be okay, but it might be a bit iffy. So I think I'm gonna just put a bit of blue as sort of a, you know, edge this with blue a little bit and then put the green over there. Because green and blue look great blended together. Blue and pink look great blended together as well. And I think maybe we need some of this lovely orange salmon kind of color. I like how this kind of pops, so I'm just adding it in a couple of places. Okay, so we have a lovely blob, and now what we're going to do with this is we are going to use the Swipe with Cells brushes, and that's as far as I've planned ahead. I don't really know which ones I'm going to use, but I think that I will start with number 5 because that is just one of my favorites. And these brushes don't add anything to the screen, they only blend what's already there, like so. So I'm going to actually make that a bit bigger and start swiping around with these brushes, adding some cells here and there. They're coming in a bit small because I've chosen such a large canvas, and it wasn't really possible to make this much bigger, but you're not really going to get cells that are super huge anyway in real life. So I'm just kind of seeing how this looks on the edges, blending things through, and dragging it on through as well, through the middle. What I like to do with the Swipe with Cells brushes is I'll take one color and then drag it onto another color, like this here. And then you can see that it drags that color on. And then you can start from different directions. You can go from different directions to see what happens. If you go in really fast, like I've done just now, you'll erase more in the way. Or if you go kind of slow, then that's when you'll get this fluid sort of swoop with cells in it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to go through and see, is there something I don't like or that doesn't look right? And then if I see something I don't like or that doesn't look right, I just keep on sort of fiddling with it with these brushes. So it's really not more complicated than that. So now that I've kind of brought the edges in, I'm going to take a couple more swift movements because I feel like we need a bit more color blending in the middle here. So I'm just going to take this green and just drag it across, see what happens here. That is a lot of mixing. Just dragging everything through. So I think maybe it's time to switch brushes, switch to a different Swipe with Cells, and then see if we can come up with some different patterns. So let's do number 2 now and just keep on working with that. I feel like this here is, this edge up here was just getting a bit messy looking. So I kind of want to have more of a directional movement, and it feels like it's all kind of coming down in this direction. So that's what I'm working towards with this. I just wanted to take the edge off of that because it was looking a bit, I don't know. Maybe it's okay. Okay. I'm just kind of looking for any edges that look unnatural and smoothing them out with this brush. Or just like, I like kind of want to have some really subtle wispies every here and there. So what I'm imagining with this is that there is white paint all around, and this paint is kind of trailing off into it. So that's kind of what I want to go for here. And you can always experiment with going in different directions. First in, then out. That's in, there's out. And you can get some different patterns going on depending on what direction you're going in. So this right here is what I was talking about with the green and the pink all being in the same. It's starting to get kind of muddy. So I'm not sure if I will do something about that. But at the moment I'm just going to leave it. So I'm just going to do the same over here in a couple of places, kind of leading up to this point as well. So what I'm trying to do now is just kind of make it all a bit more natural looking. So I had pushed these in and now I'm just kind of pulling them out again, and there's these very, very subtle white cells popping in. This is all very muddy, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pink and see how far, if I can just use a quick stroke to kind of drag the pink through here. Not sure if that's quite what I had in mind. I'm just going to try a couple different strokes, and then probably comes out slightly different every time. So I'm just going to try it out until I'm happy with the result. I do like that a bit better. Now this here, I'm not sure about this line going through, so I'm going to try and smooth that over a little bit. Now we've got another line. And this here could be smoother as well. This is all very pink, so I'm just going to see. Actually, I think what I'm going to do now is I'll go to my smudge tool, and I like to use the smudge tool with the cells, as I've said in other videos, with the dynamic cells, because they can pull more than one color that way, because real cells will of course have more than one color in it. So that's how I like to do it. So under the smudge tool, making sure that I'm in my Acrylic Pour folder, I'm going to choose a dynamic cells brush, and I'm choosing number 3 mostly because I really like it, and also because because I've made the brushes, I know that it looks a lot like the swipe brush that I was just using, and is based on some of the same brush base. So I'm going to choose this, start on this green bit, and then see if I can pull some green cells over top of the pink area. Now that was really big, so I'm going to make it a bit smaller and try again. And actually I don't like that at all, so I'm going to get rid of that and maybe just try it with some blue instead. Yeah, I think I like that better. And maybe a bit of yellow. So what I'm doing is I'm choosing the starting color from the canvas. Maybe a bit of purple. A bit more blue. And I would also like to bring in some white. So just going off this from the side, bringing some white in. I think I will continue that with a different one, mostly just because I don't want to have everything in the same texture, the same pattern. So I want to change up the cells brushes so that we have different patterns of cells within the piece, but not too much because then it's going to get too messy. But I'm going to go with number 4. and also bring in some white here. And I'm just being careful not to completely override what's here. I think maybe I want to go with now, I want something that has some cells in it, but not really that much, because I don't want to undo or like cover up what is here. So I think I'm just gonna go with the blowtorch. These are small cells. And then just bring in some very small little bitty cells here. And now I'm pretty happy with the cells on this piece right now, but I think that this is still missing something. So I'm going to go back to the brush tool. I want some cells that look really strong and bold. So I think what I will do is I'll go to the dynamic cells under the brush tool, choose number 3, which is the first one that we had done the smudging with. And I'm going to go back to my blues and then make just like a really big and bold cells statement here. Okay, I think that is working. I just tend to like go for it and then undo if I don't like it, and just keep on going until I find something that I like. So I'm going to go to the liquify tool up in adjustments and liquify. And I wanted to do a little bit of pushing over here because this feels a little bit like it could be a bit more fluid looking. So I'm just going to drag some of these edges out a bit. And maybe we need a bit more curvature here. Now I'm going to go to expand and just press right in the middle of some of these cells and let them grow a little bit so that they are not all uniform looking. Just a couple of them. Okay, I am truly done now. So thank you for coming along with me today making this. I hope that you were able to get something out of it and follow along to create something of your own. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.